Namaste. I welcome all my dear SSLC students and all the viewers for today's Samveda e-learning program science class. Students, last class we discussed first part of the life process. Today we are going to discuss the second session of this chapter. All of you get ready with your textbook. Also keep a notebook to write down the important points. In this session also I am going to give you few hints for easy remembrance. Also, we are going to discuss important concepts. Now, let us recall what we have studied in the last part. Students, last class we studied introduction and types of life processes, difference between living and non-living things, and also we discussed necessity of molecular movements in living organisms, and also we discussed modes of nutrition. In that, autotrophic nutrition and heterotrophic nutrition we discussed. Apart from that, in detail we studied nutrition in plants, especially photosynthesis process. In today's class we are going to discuss mainly heterotrophic nutrition, nutrition in amoeba, nutrition in human beings. In that we are going to study in detail account of digestion in mouth, digestion in stomach and digestion in intestine. Students, observe this picture. In these pictures, what you are observing? Yes, mushroom is there, potted plant is there, rabbits are there, caterpillar eating a leaf you can observe, tiger is there, even algal colony you can see. Students, now can you differentiate them into autotrophs and heterotrophs, because that we have discussed in the last class? Yes, students, plants and algae comes under autotrophs which prepare their own food, whereas mushroom, rabbit, caterpillar, even tiger are heterotrophs which directly or indirectly depends on the producers, nothing but plant. Now, one question for you students, what are heterotrophs? Can you define heterotrophs? Yes, you are correct students. Heterotrophs are the organisms which cannot prepare their own food. They directly or indirectly depends on the plant which are producers. Now, let us discuss types of heterotrophic nutrition. Heterotrophic nutrition, there are three types. First one, holozoic nutrition, where the organisms feed on the solid food material. Here the solid food material ingested through the mouth, it is digested, absorbed, assimilated, and waste material are removed by a process called egestion. Human beings and most of the animals, this type of nutrition taking place. Second type of nutrition is parasitic nutrition. Parasites are those organisms which derive their energy from other organisms without killing it. Examples are leeches are the main example, even mosquitoes, even some parasites even resides in our body. And the organism from which they will derive their energy is called as host. Next is saprophytic nutrition. Saprophytes are those organisms which derive their food and energy from the dead and decaying organisms. Good example, fungus or molds. So, now I am going to give you a small hint to remember this easily. Higher primary school, HPS, remember HPS student? H means not higher, instead of that remember holozoic, P means parasitic, S means saprophytic. So, remember the hint HPS. Now, let us first discuss about holozoic nutrition. In holozoic nutrition, organisms feeds on the solid food. So, holozoic nutrition means feeding on solid food. Holozoic nutrition can be defined as a method of nutrition which involves the ingestion of some complex organic substances into the body of an organism by the process of ingestion, and ingested food is digested and then absorbed by the body cells of organisms. So, most of all the animals including human beings, this type of nutrition taking place. Now, let us study types of holozoic organisms. There are mainly three types of holozoic organisms. You can see in this picture, herbivores, second one is carnivores, third one is omnivores. Students, herbivores are those animals which feed on plant products. Carnivores are the organisms that feed on other organisms, and omnivores are the organisms that feed on both plants as well as other animals. We human beings belongs to which category? Yes, students, you are correct. We belongs to omnivores. One more type of organisms also we can classify here. They are detrivores. Detrivores are the organisms which feed on the dead bodies of the organisms. They are also called as scavengers. Example, vultures. You can see in this picture vultures, then hyena, even kites are the example for detrivorous animals. Now let us discuss about the steps involved in Holozoic nutrition. Students, there are mainly 5 steps are there in Holozoic nutrition. First one is the ingestion, where the organisms intake the food from the outside. Second one is digestion, where the complex food substances broken down into simple submolecules. Third one is the absorption. Digested food is absorbed and transported to the different parts of the body. Next is assimilation, where the cells utilize this digest food and break down and derive the energy from the food. Last step is egestion, where the waste products which is liberated during this Holozoic nutrition is removed out of the body. So these are the 5 stages. Again, I am going to give you a small hint, the word idea, but one A you have to add extra, IDEAA, but E you have to put it at the end. So remember the hint idea, I means ingestion, D means digestion, but E egestion, but that you have to put it at the end, and here you have to put 2A, one A for absorption, another A for assimilation, then last is egestion. So remember the word IDEAA. Okay. Now let us discuss about parasitic nutrition. It's a mode of heterotrophic nutrition in which living organisms derive its food from the body of another organism without killing it. Here the organisms will derive its food from the body of another organism without killing it. And of course, there are 2 types of parasites. Let us discuss that. Before that, let me ask you one question. What are parasites? Students, you are right. The living organisms which obtains food and shelter from the other organism is called as parasite. So remember this, the living organisms which obtain the food and shelter from other organism is called as parasite. Now let us discuss types of parasites. There are mainly 2 types of parasites. One is ectoparasites, which live outside the host and derive the energy from the host. Second one is endoparasite, which resides inside the body of the host. Now let us discuss the examples of ectoparasites. Can you give me example for ectoparasites? Can you guess what are the example for ectoparasites? Yes, students, you are right. Leeches and mosquitoes are very good example for ectoparasites, which derive the energy from outside the body. Example for endoparasites, can you guess? Yes, students, tapeworm, roundworm, even the malarial parasite Plasmodium is also an example for endoparasites that resides inside the host. In plants also, there are some parasitic plants, and example for parasitic plant is Cuscuta, which is also called as amarbel. You can see the picture of Cuscuta. Now let us discuss about saprophytic nutrition. In saprophytic nutrition, organism obtain its food from decaying organic matter of dead plants and dead animals, etc. And example for saprophytes are mainly fungus. And the organisms having saprophytic mode of nutrition are called as saprophytes. Mushrooms, rhizopus, etc. are example which grow on dead and decaying parts of plants and animal bodies. In saprophytic nutrition, a special characteristic is extracellular digestion. Can you define what you mean by extracellular digestion? Yes, you are right. The digestion that takes place outside the body, a form of digestion wherein breaking down of the materials into smaller absorbable components takes place outside the body. Hence, it is called as extracellular digestion. Here, the digestion takes place outside the body of an organism, and example is fungus, yeast, mushroom, etc. Students, now let us discuss nutrition in amoeba. You all studied nutrition is a process in which organisms procure its food, utilize that food and obtain energy from that food to carry out their life processes. So, nutrition is very important life process which is taking place in all living organisms, including microscopic unicellular organisms such as amoeba, even in multicellular complex organisms like human beings, even in other animals also. Amoeba normally obtain its food from its surrounding. It commonly consume the microscopic organisms as a food, phytoplanktons, zooplanktons as their food. In amoeba, the type of nutrition taking place is holozoic nutrition. Yes, of course, in holozoic nutrition there are 5 steps. These 5 steps also taking place inside the body of an amoeba. And the process of nutrition in amoeba is called as phagocytosis. Remember, phagocytosis is a process by which amoeba intake its food. Here you can see a amoeba and a food particle. Amoeba has no fixed mouth. Then how it will ingest the food? Of course, when the food particle is near to the body of amoeba, it extends its temporary finger-like projections called pseudopodia and engulf that particular food particle. And when it engulfs the food particle along with the small amount of water, it will intake that food particle in the form of food vacuole. And this food vacuole is also known as temporary stomach. Now, the digestion begins inside the food vacuole. The enzymes present in the cytoplasm breaks down this complex food particle into simpler molecules, and later this digested food material again diffused into the cytoplasm. Now the food vacuole disappears. You can observe in this picture. So the food particle completely gets digested and it gets diffused into the cytoplasmic contents. Now the food vacuole gets disappear and waste generated gets collected in one part of the amoeba, and as I told you, amoeba don't have a fixed mouth. In the same way, it don't have anus. So by the rupturing of the cell membrane, amoeba throw out its waste material. This is overall nutrition process that is taking place in amoeba. It is also known as phagocytosis or endocytosis. Students, now let us discuss nutrition in human beings. We are multicellular organisms. We possess well developed digestive system. In this picture you can see the digestive system of human being. It has mainly alimentary canal and associated glands. Alimentary canal starts from the mouth and ends in anus. The important parts of the alimentary canal: mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine and anus. And approximately the length of the alimentary canal is about 8 to 9 meters. And also associated glands are present, and the associated glands are mainly salivary glands, liver and pancreas, even intestinal glands. These are play very important role in digestion in human beings. Now students, where this digestion begins? Yes, you are correct. Digestion begins in mouth. Yes, of course, the mouth has teeth and tongue. Also salivary glands present in mouth, which play very important role in digestion. The teeth acts like a grinder. It cuts the food into small pieces and chew and grind it, and it's a physical digestion. Then what is the role of tongue? Tongue has a gustatory receptors which perceive the sense of taste. It tastes the food, and also tongue helps to mix the food with the saliva. So that is the main function of tongue. Now, very important, salivary glands. Salivary glands present in our mouth produce saliva which contains an enzyme called salivary amylase enzyme, which digests the starch present in the food into simple sugar. So main function of salivary amylase enzyme is to break down the starch and convert it into simple sugars such as glucose or maltose. And salivary glands are present just below the ear, parotid salivary glands, lingual salivary gland which is present just below the tongue, and also mandibular salivary gland which is present near the jaw. So these are the three types of salivary glands present in our mouth. Now let us discuss how this partially digested food in mouth reaches the stomach. Of course, there is one movement takes place. That movement is peristaltic movement. And what do you mean by peristaltic movement? The smooth muscles present in the lining of the esophagus contract rhythmically in order to push the food forward to stomach, and this movement is called as peristaltic movement. You can observe in this particular animation. Partially digested food by the rhythmic contraction of the smooth muscles of the esophagus reaches the stomach. Now let us discuss the digestion in stomach. Of course, the stomach is a J-shaped organ present on the left side of the abdomen. Stomach walls contain three tubular glands, nothing but gastric glands, which secretes gastric juice. And this gastric juice contains mainly three substances. One is hydrochloric acid, the enzyme called pepsin, and mucus. These three substances play very important role in digestion. Now let us discuss role of mucus in stomach. Of course, the mucus protects the inner lining of the stomach from the action of the acid. Now next let us discuss role of HCl. Here I want to give you a small hint. Remember KAS to write the function of HCl. What do you mean by K? What do you mean by A? What do you mean by S? Okay, let us see. K means it kills the microbes entering the stomach along with the food. What is A? It makes the food acidic, which stimulates or facilitates the action of the enzyme pepsin. And S means softens the fibrous food. So these are the main three functions of HCl, hydrochloric acid. So remember the hint KAS, so that easily you can write in the examination. Okay, next is role of pepsin. Of course, pepsin is a protein digesting enzyme which helps in digestion of proteins. The food is partially digested, then goes from stomach to the small intestine. Now let us discuss the digestion in small intestine. The movement of the food from the stomach to small intestine is regulated by sphincter muscle. Sphincter muscle play very important role. Exit of the food from stomach to the small intestine is regulated by a sphincter muscle. And small intestine is the longest part of the alimentary canal, and it is about 6 to 7 meter in length, and it is highly coiled structure which is present in the abdominal region. As soon as the food reaches the small intestine receives the secretion from two organs. One is liver, another is pancreas. Let us discuss first role of liver. Yes, liver is the largest organ that is present in our body. The liver manufactures bile which gets stored in the gallbladder. From the gallbladder, bile is released as and when required. Now let us discuss what is the important function of this bile juice? Yes, bile juice converts the acidic food of the stomach to alkaline for the pancreatic enzymes to act on it, and also helps in the digestion of fats. Bile salts break down the large fat globules into smaller globules, and this process is called as emulsification process. Remember, breakdown of large fat globules into smaller globules, and this process is called as emulsification. Next, let us study action of pancreatic juice. Of course, pancreatic juice secretes 3 types of enzymes. Again, I am going to give you a small hint to remember, that is ALT, Alt button, which is commonly present in your computer keyboard. Remember that ALT. A for amylase, which converts complex carbohydrates into glucose. L for lipase, which breaks down the emulsified fats or helps in the digestion of fats. And third one is the T, that is trypsin, which helps in the digestion of proteins. Now let us discuss action of intestinal juice. The walls of the small intestine contain glands which secretes intestinal juice. This intestinal juice finally convert the proteins into amino acids, complex carbohydrates into glucose, and fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Remember, the complete digestion of food takes place not in stomach, but it takes place in intestine, and the digested food absorbed by the walls of the intestine. Next one question for you. Why does the herbivores having the longer intestine than the carnivorous animal? You can observe in this picture, herbivorous animals possess longer small intestine than the carnivorous animals. Here the deer is having longer small intestine and fox is having very small intestine. What is the reason for this? Yes, your answer is correct. Herbivores have longer small intestine for the digestion of cellulose, because it takes longer time than the digestion of meat. So meat is digested early than the cellulose. Hence, herbivorous animals, the length of the intestine is longer. Next, one more question for you. How is the small intestine designed to absorb the digested food? We discussed that in small intestine, complete digestion of the food takes place. Then how this completely digested food is absorbed in the small intestine? Of course, the inner lining of the small intestine has several finger-like projections called villi, and these are specially designed to increase the surface area for absorption. Also, the villi has rich supply of blood vessels which take the absorbed food to each and every cell of the body. So, villi play very important role in small intestine in absorption of the food. Now, let us discuss digestion in large intestine. Large intestine, when compared to small intestine, of course, the diameter is big, but the length is comparatively smaller than the small intestine. No digestion takes place in large intestine. The unabsorbed food from the small intestine is sent to the large intestine, and in large intestine, villi are present which absorb the water from undigested food material. So, always our fecal matter is in semi-solid condition, because in large intestine, villi absorb the water from the undigested food material, and large intestine does not involve in the digestion of food or absorption of nutrients, remember. Now, the undigested food material is removed from the body via anus. In large intestine, it will store for some time in the part of the rectum. The rest of the material is removed from the body via anus. Now, the question for you, how is the excretion of undigested waste materials controlled? Of course, here one more sphincter muscle play very important role, that is anal sphincter muscle. The exit of this waste material is regulated by the anal sphincter muscle, remember students. Till now we have discussed about heterotrophic nutrition, types of heterotrophic nutrition. Now, are you ready to answer few MCQ questions, students? Okay. First question for you. In which group of the organisms the food material is broken down outside the body? Options are mushroom, green plants, amoeba, paramecium, amoeba cuscuta, cuscuta lice tapeworm, yeast, mushroom, bread mold. Here they have given a group of organisms. Can you guess which is the correct answer? Yes, students, your answer is correct. Yeast, mushroom, mold, bread mold is the correct answer because all three belongs to the group fungus. Next question, which of the following events in the mouth cavity will be affected if salivary amylase is lacking in the saliva? Options are proteins breaking down into amino acids, absorption of vitamins, starch breaking down into sugars, fats breaking down into amino acids and glycerol. Can you guess the correct answer, students? Yes, your answer is correct. Starch breaking down into simple sugars. This will get affected if the salivary amylase not present in our saliva. Next question, the enzymes pepsin and trypsin are secreted respectively by, options are A, stomach and pancreas, B, production of assimilatory pigments, C, liver and pancreas, D, liver and salivary gland. Can you guess which is the correct answer? Answer is correct. A is the correct answer. Stomach and pancreas, these two organs secretes pepsin and trypsin. Students, now I am going to give you home assignment, homework for you. Please write down the questions, also answer these questions. The first question is, name the process by which amoeba engulf the food particle. Second question, which part of the body secretes bile? Where bile is stored? Third question, mention the site of complete digestion in our body. Name the end products formed on complete digestion of fats, proteins and carbohydrates. So, mention the site of complete digestion in our body, name the end products formed on complete digestion of carbohydrates, proteins and fats. Write down these questions, students, and answer these questions by reading the textbook and by taking the help of your teachers. In this session, we discussed detailed account of heterotrophic nutrition, types of heterotrophic nutrition, and also we studied the digestion in amoeba and digestion in human beings. Students, in the next session, we are going to study one more very important life process, that is respiration. So, till then, namaste.